So the mower would start really slow and it would go really slow and then just stop after, you know, maybe 50 yards, and you'd have to pull the pin on the back of it, put it into neutral and push it where you wanted it to be. So now we've got a new battery and a new differential, and here's what we look like. Maybe do the choke. So round 2 sees me getting up a little too early in the morning, and I'm a little bit dull. So here's some of the mistakes that I made. Even though I've spent so much time on this pin and the washer, still took out the inner housing and lost it. Well, you look at my old pump, you can see little chatter marks in the middle of these pistons here. And these are the new ones, so that's how I keep them straight. But there's actually little metal inserts in these. There's a little metal plate that sits on top of the spring. There, you can see that one. So these little guys. So that's something to be mindful of. I don't know if it's just a little shim or if it's to distribute the weight of the spring so that it doesn't create more metal going around in the inside. I've taken this and just dunked it in the oil. I'm going to do the bearing. I took my little clip off and just kind of had it hang out here so I didn't have to expand it over this splined section here. But I took it off with a little pin hanging below. I put it in here and then just knocked it down. Apologize for the lack of vocabulary. Like I say, I got up too early. Had to help out with a 5K and do traffic for that. Not do traffic, but help with traffic, help close a road. Anyway, long story short, we're getting ready to put it back together. I replaced the bearing because I had to order in a bunch of extra parts. You see all the packages on the floor. So I'm doing a pump, ordered in a couple of magnets and the magnet holder, ordered in a couple of bolts so that they match, just because I'm particular that way. And I wanted to pull these out and look at them while I had them out this time. They're just a little spring and the IVS valve or whatever they're called. And there's a little ball in there, and sometimes around the ball things can get backed up, you can get debris and whatnot. When I pulled the filter out this time around, I mean, you can see that there's a little teeny bit of debris here, but there was just a lot. I mean, there's so much. I thought I did a really good job flushing it out, but there's all these little nooks and crannies and things. I'm going to take the shaft and put it put this back on there. The bearing or the ball side goes toward the clip. This looks like that's a washer, but it's not. It's pressed in there pretty good, so you want to make sure that you have some backing against that inner race. So let's put it in a vise. That's what I did. Get it so that it sits up, back off a little bit, and then you can just drive it in like a nail. Just being cautious that you don't hit this crooked or create any divots or anything. So I've got everything put back together now. I've got the new magnet that just drops in so easy. Man, if you have the right parts, it's so much easier to fix things. The way that this works is that you have, it's like having a power steering pump or something like that on the input shaft where that pulley is, and it's being driven from down here, and you've got this little rocker lever here. And what it does is it basically builds pressure by having those pistons pushed back down in. When you rock it one way, it causes this to move in one direction. You do it the other way, it does the same thing. And basically there's channels, hydraulic channels that go between. So in this position, with the bearing flat against the pistons of the pump being down, it's not building any pressure. Nothing's being compressed on those pistons, and it's just spinning. Now as soon as you go like this and tilt that, now as it's being rotated, because the shaft goes up through the middle into the middle of that housing, as it's being rotated, it sends pressure down the channels and it puts pressure on this. When this gets pressure, it causes it to rotate because it always wants to be in the out position. Basically, the ones that are in the bottom are dumping fluid, and then these have pressure, so they of course want to dump that, and it turns this shaft here, and then you got gear reduction and whatnot that goes into the differential. So it's like having a power steering pump and then another one that's linked to the other end of it by means of the center body to cause this to turn. So what failed on this is the gears failed because there was too much load or strain or not proper lubrication or combination of those. And so once the gears failed, metal got into everything else and it chewed things up. Now, this is inverted currently. Normally all the junk in the crud would be down around here. So with this getting a little bit of filings and whatnot into it, it caused wear. And again, lubrication wasn't good. So when this got chewed up, the pump is still pumping pressure, but it was leaking out through the pistons. Instead of pushing on those pistons hard enough to get the thing to rotate and in turn turn the shaft, what was happening was it was just squirting out around these pistons in this motor. So pump, motor, and the motor was just basically, if it wasn't already under fluid, you'd have seen it spraying out. Basically it wasn't contained. It was just like you know, a piston with bad piston rings, no compression. Take your magnet and your magnet holder, and we're going to put those back in. You see, it's pretty easy to handle these. Just stick it in there. Does it go this way? Does it go that way? This thing vibrates and it's going to spin around in there, so I wouldn't worry a whole lot about it. Then you take your cap and put that back in over the top. The screwdriver handle, kind of a little paint can lid, press it, clip. You have to take these off to get to the filler cap. Maybe I won't use this footage, who knows. Wipe off the excess oil and we'll put it back into service. So when it comes time to put the transmission back in, we'll take a couple of jack stands and set them up underneath. You don't have to have them right in place. Aim your fan forward, just do a little propeller thing, pretend it's an airplane, fly up in there. The next thing you want to do, I like these ratcheting jack stands a lot because you can just do this with them and they catch one side and another side. What I try to do is I try to get it to where I can get my sides on. Make sure that you clear both sides. So I'll take my bolts and just take the 10mm one, hang that in the front, that way you're not having to fight it, trying to rock forward. So that's the first bolts that I put in. Get this other side in, and those will pretty much hang it. They will make sure to get a few threads in there, 3 or 4 at least, so that you're not stripping in or putting any strain on it and having it drop. Because for one, it's scary. Bam, it drops. Oh, that sucks. And 2, it can be a little hard getting your bolt in once you strip the hole, pulling it out. Put a little drop down bolts in there. I mean, this goes really quick and easy. It's not super hard. Get the nuts coming in from underneath. Switch out your socket to 13 or 1/2 inch, same thing. We take our 13mm wrench above, just zip it in there. Zippity doo dah, zippity yay. Here we go. We do the same thing on the other side. So you can pull these out once you've got Okay, so the transmission's in there, it's mounted. Now we just need to get things hooked up. So again, I'm going to just do the brake pedal here. And I'll hook up my forward-backward pedal. Click in there. Put in my reverse kill switch. Do a little shortcut and plug it in here where it's easy to see. Then put it up in there. 15mm 5/8. Zip zip. I need to put my belt on. I want to grab as far forward on the right hand side of the belt as you can. I'm making this look a lot harder than it is. A little chain guard here, or not chain, belt guard. Pull it out so you can look at it. I think that's what I'm gonna do. Alright, so here's what it looks like. The belt's got to go over the top of this guy here, which shouldn't be that hard. If you just zip this off and put it on after, it's probably the best thing to do. That way you don't gotta fight it. Don't fight it. Alright, so then it just looks like this, and you can have it totally out of the way. Come around here, grab the belt. Okay, both sides. Oh, that's so much easier. It's supposed to be somewhat snug, right? And then this guy, one side, it's got a little keyway, so you drop that in first. They say I'm not a professional lawnmower man. I'm no Mower Medic 1, but I do what I can. Get that started and happy. Probably should have put this in before anything else. So I hook this in through the back, put it up over my neutral rod. And on mine it's got two holes. It goes in the forward of the two. And I've got a little clip that I put in there. The lawn's so bumpy it's necessary and hopefully sufficient. So last thing I gotta do is I just gotta get this little wire fished up underneath of there and then put the nut in for it. Oh, that's nice. That works. Awesome. It's time to put some wheels on. Washer, barrel, another washer, and then a keyway, a Woodruff key. Wheel, keyway facing up. So I already looked at it. I'm going to throw on washer and then clip. It's really coming together fast now. Yay! Until I say it's coming along fast. We'll do the same on the other side. You can hear how rattly the differential and spider gears are on these things. Put it into neutral. Differential's still happy. Obliged to be doing stuff. So now we're going to fire it up and bleed the air out of the system. Do a little forward backward with the back end off the ground. For this I am going to put a little jack stand under each of these. Lower my straps a little. Boom. Boom. So when you're putting these in and it's not weighted, it's really easy. You just have it hook facing forward, just hook it in and then you're good, and it's not going to fall out, no way, no how. This battery. So right now, the pump's turning and it's getting the air out of it. I'm going to let it run for a little bit with the pump. That's probably good enough. I'm going to gauge the motor forward and backward and work the air out of that new motor. jack and jack stands under it's too narrow. So I'm sticking it under that ball plate where the ball can be mounted. So, fire it up, try it again. Wow, that's so much better with that new motor in there. Before it would get up and go and mow the lawn and just kind of putt around, but you could tell it was tired. Now it seems peppy, tight, and nice. So we got new magnets, new bolts, we got a new motor in the transmission. Funny is it's supposed to go slow backwards and fast forward. Seems pretty fast both ways. Now. Shed. This thing practically jumps into the shed now. It doesn't seem to mind at all. It just bump and we're in. So that's pretty exciting. As you can see, the tractor's working awesome. Anyway, rock and roll, coochie coo. I do hope you enjoyed watching my video on how to do the transmission on this little John Deere L Series tractor. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. Look for answers to your question too. Scroll through the comments. There's bound to be some people who have been through this and had the same question on something I may have missed. And you may find your answer quickest that way, but otherwise I do come back and check the comments time to time. I'd be happy to help you out if I can.